Hare Krishna, Anand Bihari Prabhu, all the devotees. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyaschа Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll be doing the last 4 verses of the 27th chapter in the 10th canto. The title of the chapter is Mother Surabhi and Indra's prayers to Lord Krishna. Lord Indra and Mother Surabhi offer prayers. So I'll quickly read through the verses and then we'll get in. I'll read the translation for the first few verses and the Sanskrit for the last one. So this verse 24. Tumburu, Narada and other Gandharvas, along with Vidyadhara, Siddhas, Charnas, came there to sing the glories of Lord Hari, which purify the entire world. And the wives of the demigods, filled with joy, danced together in the Lord's honor. The most eminent demigods chanted the praises of the Lord and scattered wonderful showers of flowers all around him. All 3 worlds felt supreme satisfaction, and the cows drenched the surface of the earth with their milk. Rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquids. Trees exuded honey. Edible plants came to maturity without cultivation, and hills gave forth jewels formerly hidden in their interiors. This verse 27, I'll read the Sanskrit also.
What did the hills do?
The hills gave jewels which were hidden, formerly hidden in their interiors. Hidden.
Wells?
Jewels, jewelries, jewels, pearls, diamonds.
Oh, jewels.
Jewels. Yes, jewels. Krishne Bishikta Etani Sarvani Kurunandana Nirvairani Abhavams Tata Krurani Api Nisargata. O Parikshit, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, became entirely free of enmity. Purport. Those corrupted by a type of sophisticated cynicism may mock these descriptions of a paradisiacal world situation, affected simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, modern man has created a hell on earth in his cynical rejection of heaven on earth, which is actually possible through Krishna consciousness. The situation described here, created simply by the auspicious bathing ceremony of the Lord, is an authentic historical incident. Since history repeats itself, there is hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. It's the last verse, 28. Iti go gokulam patim govindam abhishichyasa anujnato yayav chakro vrito devadibhirdivam. After he had ceremonially bathed Lord Govinda, who is the master of the cows and the cowherd community, King Indra took the Lord's permission and, surrounded by the demigods and other higher beings, returned to his heavenly abode. These purports were written by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We generally hear like history repeats itself in a negative connotation. Like here, this was possibly the first time which I heard like history repeating itself being used for something not just positive, something like the highest good. That since history repeats itself, there is hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. So in the beginning, we see that Indra and Surabhi are worshipping Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavatam, it is said like Yatho Tarur Moola Nishechanina, like as pouring water on the roots gives nourishment to the branch, to the twigs, to the leaves, and as feeding the stomach gives energy to all the parts of the body. Similarly, by worshipping Krishna, keeping him in the center, all the demigods are satisfied, all of his children, all of his entire creation is satisfied. In the Gita, like in the 15th chapter, it is said like Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakam, like the creation is described as like a tree and an upside down tree, and Krishna is the root of the tree. So by taking care of the root, then everything under him is also taken care of. And Krishna also says in the Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, like I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So we see that Krishna Seva automatically brings like satisfaction to all the demigods. Even in the CC, it is said like Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. If one is engaged in devotional service to the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. Just one thing which I forgot to mention at the beginning, like most of the points which I got were from classes I heard from Murlidhar Prabhu from Chowpatty, Radhika Vallabh Prabhu from Chowpatty, and Prahlad Ananda Maharaj. So thanks to all of them. So we see that Krishna's name, like in this pastime, Krishna is named as Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to our senses and who gives pleasure to the cows. So in the material world, we are here basically because we want to enjoy our senses, either in a subtle way or in a gross way. And by worshipping Govinda, worshipping Krishna, we find satisfaction which cannot be found by our own searching or hankering after it in the material world. Like last Thursday, like I spoke to a couple of boys who had come, young men who had come for the Thursday night Kirtan, and both of them, like surprisingly, they said, like, I find peace when I come to the Bhakti Center. I find peace when I come to Thursday night Kirtan, which they can't find outside. So by keeping Krishna's holy name, Krishna in the center, automatically, like even though one of them has come here only thrice, so he doesn't understand much of the philosophy or anything about devotional service, I imagine, but he has that innate feeling within himself that I'm feeling satisfied here, and I feel stressed out when I go outside in the city. So we can see this. Even we can also speak to some extent about what we've received in Krishna consciousness, even though we feel like there is still a long way to go, which is true. But there is something that has been given to us by Prabhupada's mercy, by the Guru's mercy, which keeps us going, which keeps us hankering for more. And to someday, by their mercy, to achieve Krishna Prem. One more thing we see in this chapter is Krishna's superiority over the demigods is established. Like here, Indra is getting chastised for his arrogant behavior. Previously, like Lord Brahma was chastised and Varuna was chastised. And further down, when in this canto, when Krishna fights Banasur, Lord Shiva, Ganesh, and Kartikeya, they are all on the side of Banasur, and Krishna defeats all of them. So generally people worship demigods, not knowing that even the demigods are receiving their strength and their powers from the root, from Krishna. And sometimes like people end up worshiping the demigods and equating Krishna as one of them. And sometimes as devotees, vice versa, like we worship Krishna and we disrespect the demigods, like which is also not supposed to be done. Mm-hmm. We are supposed to respect, like worship Krishna and also respect the demigods. And of course, the senior devotees, the Vaishnavas, all of them. So when we are not aware of the supremacy of Krishna, like we tend to take a long-winded route. Like Krishna in the Gita, he says like, everyone is worshipping me, everyone is coming towards me. Like, but then we can ask, then okay, then why shouldn't I just worship the demigods? But there is a direct path and an indirect path. Like there is a straight path and a long-winded path. So why not take the straight path and come to Krishna's lotus feet? And the next point, which we wanted to discuss, is like we see like in the verse, like the trees exuded honey, the rivers are giving forth, what was it exactly said? Rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquids, trees exuded honey, the edible plants came to maturity without cultivation, and hills gave forth jewels formerly hidden in their interiors. So we see that like in the Gita, Krishna says like Annat Bhavati Bhutani, like all living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains, and rains are produced through yagya, through sacrifice. And the highest sacrifice is the sacrifice of chanting the holy names of Krishna. I was just came across this in the newspapers like 2 weeks ago, that in the southwestern United States, there is this Colorado River, and the statistics, it said like there are 7 southwestern states in the United States which use water from this river, and it's almost like 1.9 trillion gallons per year. And surprisingly, more than 55% of the water is used to grow alfalfa and other kinds of feed, which is used for cattle basically. So we see that how by following the complete opposite of what Krishna is prescribing, like keeping Namo Brahmani Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya, like keeping the cows in the center, instead of we are utilizing nature's resources to kill cows and to feed our bellies. And one more thing which I read is like in Phoenix, in Arizona, like they've stopped growing the size of the city anymore because they don't have more water anymore. The groundwater has reduced so much that they are unable to expand the city. So we can clearly see, like by not keeping Krishna in the center, how Mother Nature is withholding what she can offer, what she will offer to us. And we struggle, like ecologically, we see so many problems in the newspapers that it's a scary situation that we are living in. The government of New York City, they are planning to build like 20 feet walls along the East River. Like Prabhupada used to walk along the East River, and now the plan is to avoid one more Hurricane Sandy. They want to build walls. Like this is the solution. Like how much like we are running away from nature. And what we see from this section is basically when there is a good leader, then like when Krishna is kept in the center, then Mother Nature is voluntarily willing to pay taxes. She is voluntarily willing to give jewels and honey and tasty liquids and everything. So this in the 5th canto, like Maharaj Gaya's example is given. Like he was blessed by the daughters of Daksha, and he was such an honest and a just ruler that Mother Earth, in the form of a cow, considered Maharaj Gaya as a calf, and she produced abundant milk. And she was so satisfied that she then satisfied the citizens of the planet. Even though Maharaj Gaya personally didn't have any desires, but we see an example of like a just king. And in another place in the Bhagavatam, like when Hiranyakashipu was ruling, the cows produced milk, the same things we see, like the rivers produced tasty liquids, the oceans produced jewels. But in this case, like it was all out of fear. It wasn't out of love or affection. It was out of force. And we see that the force did not last for too long. Nrsimhadev came and killed Hiranyakashipu. In the 4th canto, like Vena's example is given. Like when he became king, he stopped all the Vedic sacrifices. He started harassing the Brahmanas, started harassing their Vedic sacrifices. And even the Brahmanas eventually had to put an end to him. So the Brahmanas say that like the king is not just supposed to protect the citizens from the rogues, but the king is also supposed to protect the citizens from the rogues within his kingdom. Like how Krishna is protecting the Vrajvasis from Indra, like he is one of Krishna's appointed ministers to run the universal system, and Krishna is protecting the citizens of the Vrajvasis from Indra. And one more example which is given is like Krishna also protected Indra here in this case. Like in this example, when Indra was becoming too proud and too full of himself that I should be worshipped and Govardhan should not be worshipped. Krishna, like previously in this chapter, it is said like when someone is very dear to me, then I meaning Krishna, I interfere, and I'm summarizing, like I'm paraphrasing it, like I give them trouble. I try to create problems in their life so that their pride does not become too high. And this is something we can also learn in our own lives, like when we face troubles, that how is like Krishna, he's Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. When we face difficulties, that what is Krishna trying to teach us here? Like how can we humble ourselves? Like is Krishna trying to protect us ultimately more than anything from our own misguided ideas or our own attempts at gross and subtle sense gratification? Ultimately, he is trying to protect his aspiring devotees like us from falling down. So we can think of like Lord Brahma's example, like Tattenu Kampam Susamikshimanu, like I tolerate these difficulties and I'll continue going on in my devotional service. Someday, Krishna will give his grace. Like it is said, like Avashya Rakhibe Krishna. I read this yesterday, that Krishna will definitely protect us. Like we have to, Prabhupada says, like in Krishna, in devotional service, confidence means having this full faith in Krishna that he will protect me. So even when I'm going through difficulties, I can trust, I can put my faith in Krishna that he is protecting me, either in a gross way or in a subtle way, but he is protecting me. In the next section that we see, like when in the verse 27, when it is said that skeptics, they sort of dismiss like what Krishna consciousness has to offer, like a paradisiacal situation can be recreated. But we see, like when we keep Guru and Krishna in the center, like what was just spoken of, like when Krishna is kept in the center, like happiness naturally comes. Prabhupada speaks of, like he mentions Paradise Lost by John Milton in the CC, I believe in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela. And there Satan, he says, like better reign in hell than serve in heaven. And we can also see this example in our own lives, like how we try to be the center of our own little universe, going around. Burijan Prabhu, he gives this like he speaks the mind of a conditioned soul, like us. Basically, he says like like the mind is like clearing its throat. Like now, all of you pay attention here. Like you need to speak about me. You need to worship me. You need to glorify me, and you need to do everything that I need. And if you can do that, then you'll be happy then, and I'll be happy. And this is the dialogue that all of our minds is speaking to us day in and day out, whether we are conscious or we are unconscious. Even when it comes to devotional service, like we can have this, like a very hidden desire, like, oh, I want to be the best disciple. I want to serve my Guru the best. I want to be the best book distributor. I want to be the best cook, the best kirtanier. One devotee, he said, like when he joined the brahmachari ashram, he said, like, I wanted to be the best brahmachari. How ironic, right? Like here we've come to give up everything. It's Rasnath actually. So one of my Shiksha gurus. So how ironic how the false ego is dictating to us that we want to be the best even when it comes to devotional service. Yes, we want to be the best, but in a humble state of consciousness, in a way that will be pleasing to Krishna, not in a way that will please us, like that will somehow turn the limelight towards us and bring the focus towards us, and the guru will talk to us and they will worship us, the senior devotees will respect us. If it comes, it comes, but that shouldn't be the mood. And it is very difficult to remove this false ego. It is called like Hriday Granthi in the Bhagavatam, like it's a knot, and the knot cannot be untied. The knot has to be cut, and who can cut the knot? Krishna can cut the knot for us. Like we have to. That's why when we pray, we can call out to him, like, please remove this knot of false ego from my heart and make me an instrument, nimitta matra. And Krishna is compared to the sun, and our heart is full of darkness. So the more we bring the light of Krishna into our heart, the more the darkness of the false ego will be removed. And we can ultimately like surrender. We can become his pure instruments. We see like in like Radhanath Swami is here in New York, and everyone, all of us want to be the center, but somehow when he comes, like everyone goes to him, and it doesn't feel like he is craving that. He is just doing that purely as a service to Srila Prabhupada. Because his heart is so pure, we can see this in action, that that everyone is naturally attracted to him. Like even there is a cobbler on the street here, James. Even Maharaj has become good friends with him. Like I speak to him, and even James is glorifying Radhanath Swami. So Maharaj is able to see everyone, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane, Gavihastini, like seeing everyone equally, treating everyone as a soul. Because he has come to that platform, he's able to offer that to us, and he's setting that as an example for us, like to rise to aspire for, basically. Not, we cannot rise to that, like we can aspire for it, pray to Prabhupada, pray to Radha Muralidhar. And very quickly, like one more thing that we see in this section of the Bhagavatam is like how Indra, even though he was chastised previously, he still makes this mistake. Like when Krishna was appearing, like Lord Brahma goes along with all the demigods to the shore of the Milk Ocean. There, like Indra goes, Brahma goes, Lord Shiva goes. And we see in the Bhagavatam, like this was when Krishna appeared a few years ago, and now Krishna is 7 years old when he lifted the Golden Hill. And already we see that in the short span of time, Indra has forgotten that they had gone to Krishna to seek his help. Brahma had gone to Krishna, Lord Shiva had gone to Krishna. We like in the class which I heard, it is said, like the other example is given of is to contrast is of a pure devotee, like Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, when he heard the Bhagavatam in the womb, when he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu, he heard the Bhagavatam from Narada Muni, and in the womb he's making prayers to be of service to Krishna. When he comes out, he's making prayers. When he is in school, he's telling his demon friends to become devotees of Krishna. He's preaching to his father to become a devotee of Krishna. When when Narsingdev had to be pacified after killing Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj is sent in the front, and Prahlad Maharaj is saying in that section, he says this prayer that how can I, who's born in a demoniac family, be sent to pacify the Lord, to worship the Lord, when there is like Brahma and Shiva and Indra, when they are here also. And when Prahlad Maharaj's grandson, like Bali Maharaj, he meets Vamanadev, and even at that time, when Prahlad Maharaj, it is said that he ruled the kingdom for the period of one Manvantara. That's about 300 million years. And throughout that period, he's humble. He is keeping Krishna in the center of his life and not himself. And when Vamanadev appears, even at that time, Prahlad Maharaj is praying that you are even that you are worshipable, O Krishna, and you are worshipable, O Vamanadev. So we see this consistent behavior. So that's the difference between like a pure devotee and a Karma Mishra Bhakta, sorry. And we can see where we are, obviously. And the reasons that are given is like because we still maintain this desire for sense gratification, either in a gross way or in a subtle way. Like we have to watch out. Where is our mind going? Where are our senses going? What is our focus? Are we trying to please Krishna, or are we trying to please our ego, our senses here? And it's embarrassing when we look in the mirror that how much we still hold that desire for sense gratification. So we can pray like Sachin Maharaj. He gives this meditation that when we chant in his book, The Living Name, he gives his meditation that, or maybe in one of his classes I've heard, he says that when we wake up in the morning, we can pray to Krishna that, oh Krishna, let me keep you in the center, like let me move aside, let me move out of the center of my life. Every day, every morning, we can make this prayer that I don't want to be the center. Please, you come and be seated on the throne of my heart. That's where you belong there. Like I don't belong on the throne of my heart. Like I belong at your feet. You sit on the throne. You occupy the throne of my heart, and let me sit at your feet and worship you. So yeah, this is something we can pray. We can, like, when we chant, we can keep this meditation in our heart. Like, oh Krishna, please, cut the knot of my false ego. Please come into my heart. And we should obviously also put in the effort. Like, how much effort are we putting to purify our senses, to become humble, to serve the devotees, to serve Prabhupada, to serve Guru, to serve Krishna, Mahaprabhu. When we carry that mood, when we cultivate that mood, Krishna will reciprocate when he sees we are ready. So to summarize, we saw like Krishna's superiority over the demigods. When he is worshipped, then everyone is satisfied. And we saw the lesson on leadership when Krishna, like when a just ruler is there, then the citizens are naturally willing to pay taxes and to serve. And we see the consistent behavior of a pure devotee versus a Karma Mishra Bhakta. And yeah, thank you. So this is what I wanted to share, what I heard. Any comments, questions? Yeah. Adipurush Prabhu here who wants to ask. I'll just turn the camera.
Yeah, Krishna gave us a remarkable experience recently. Somebody was asking a very profound and heartfelt question. He was saying, I have a family, I have children, I have a wife, and I can understand from the philosophy of Krishna consciousness that our relationships in this world tend to be contaminated, that there's not pure love here. And is it hopeless? He was asking, is it possible? Here we're talking in this verse about how they're worshiping Krishna and the whole atmosphere of the spiritual world is invoked. That people feel a healing and a perfection by making Krishna in the center. And he was asking, are we, you can have, if the floor is dirty, you can clean it. If if you have a disease, you can take medicine. But are we, what do you call it when you have like a disease that's you're going to die from? What do you call it?
Terminal disease. Terminal disease.
Yeah, terminal illness. Oh, are we affected with a terminal illness that we're not actually going to be healed in this life? He was asking, really from the bottom of his heart, will I actually be able to love my wife? Will I be able to love my children and the other people in this world? Or am I, is it possible? It was really like, is there hope? And so Srila Prabhupada tells us, yes, there is a perfectional stage. There is a possibility of becoming purified. And Prabhupada said, if you don't really understand the goal, you'll think you'll never reach it. And the goal is, what's the goal?
To become servants of Krishna.
The goal is to please Krishna. Sangsadhi Haritoshanam. And if we make or have the desire and make some effort to please the Lord, Krishna's pleased. The perfectional stage is available. It's not that it's an unreachable goal. It's possible to please Krishna. Anyone, anywhere, anytime. No matter how fallen we are or how long we've been fallen, we can say, Lord, Madan Gopal gave this class the other day, and he said, even if once in your life you say, Lord, I'm yours. I may be making mistakes. I may not be very, I may be sinful, but I'm trying to give myself to you. He said, if you say that even once in your life, then Krishna is so wonderful that Krishna will bring you from where you are to where, and he's even instantly pleased by that desire, by that prayer. So nice. So Prabhupada said, and we responded to this person who was inquiring, we're never going to make it? Even, the great saints, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, I've wasted my life. All I like is like when people are suffering, that I'm happy. And he says all these things about himself, right? Those prayers. And you think, oh my God. I'm just, a fallen soul, and I'll never be able to achieve this goal. But it is just like in the 12-step meeting. The first step is to understand I've got a problem. The second step is to believe that there's a power higher than ourselves who can actually help me to stop my nonsense, and then we turn our vote to the Lord. So it's encouraging, consoling, and in this verse we're hearing how they did worship Krishna, bathe Krishna, made Krishna the center, and everything else fell into place. So in 1 minute we can be like that, but we have to keep endeavoring. Anyway, I'm not sure how cohesive that share was. Anybody else like to say something? We have. Oh, glory to Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. Don't give up hope.
It was cohesive.
Huh?
It was cohesive. I'm remembering like from the 6th canto when Ajamal's pastime, even though he had committed so many sinful activities, the Bhagavatam says like there is no need to do other activities for prayaschitta, for repentance. Just call out to Krishna's holy names. So surrender to Krishna, and that is all the repentance that you need to do. You don't need to separately endeavor to repent.
After that, after he was rescued, he did have to go and apply himself to Krishna.
Yeah, but in the purports, like in the verses, it is said there is no need for separate endeavors. Just serve Krishna, call out to the one. Yeah. Thank you, Aditya Prabhu. Anyone online? Okay, I guess no questions online. Haribol Krishna Daya Prabhu.
Haribol Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. And especially, it's not like a question, but the point which very much stuck up with me is like, even in devotional service, we try to be best. I mean, try to always take the center stage. So that is, I mean, of course, on one hand, it is said that you try to serve, like suppose we are serving Krishna, so we try to be our best. That is there, like if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong. So we want to serve the best of our capacity, but at the same time, what you are saying is we should not try to be better than others. And somehow it's very subtle. So how do we understand we are in which track, either our best or we are trying to be better than others? How do we consciously gauge this?
I think it needs, like, we have to be alert of what is our intention. We have to be aware of what our consciousness is behind the activity, and that has to be constantly monitored. Sachinanda Maharaj, he uses this term consciousness connoisseur, like someone who tastes the consciousness, so someone who is aware of what our intentions are, what our motivations are. So we had to, my understanding, Krishna Daya Prabhu, and you also like quite nicely summarized it. My understanding is that sometimes, yes, the desire to become the best amongst other devotees can also come, and at that time we can correct ourselves. So Krishna, I don't want to have this intention. Let me do my best. Externally, we could still be doing the same thing, be it cooking or giving a class or anything, deity worship. But internally, we can, by being aware of our thoughts and our desires and our consciousness, we can sort of gently correct it. It's like in chanting, right? When the mind drifts, so like we gently bring it back. We gently bring it back. We don't fight the mind. We don't fight our false ego. We just like gently bring it back. So we gently say, oh Krishna, I didn't want to have that intention, that I wanted to be better than, give a better class than this devotee, do a better kirtan. Like, let me do this as a service. Like Rupa Goswami, he says, like, before doing any service, there has to be three intentions. Like, so he said, like, the service should be for Krishna. We should do it with our body, mind, and words. And the third one, he says, like, it should be done to please Krishna. So by being constantly aware of what is going on, we can correct ourselves. That is this pleasing to Krishna. So I hope that was somewhat helpful. Adipurush Prabhu has a comment.
Thank you for the gentle class and then the gentle feedback. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful class. There's something Srila Prabhupada tells us about the story, Yudhisthira and Duryodhana, who were the martial arts teacher. And he said to Duryodhana, go find someone better than you. And Duryodhana went all day, came back, and I couldn't find anybody better than me, right? And then he said, Yudhisthira, you go out and find somebody lower than you, right? And he came back and he said, I couldn't find anybody lower than me. And the teacher was saying, you are actually qualified to be in a leadership in society. He was seeing that, and a great soul was thinking like that. And the gopis, who were so close to Krishna, as soon as they thought, oh, we're the best devotees, Krishna left them. Krishna, if we think ourselves better than anybody else, that's not really very high stage, isn't it? So the devotees on the highest platform, they're thinking everybody else is better than me. I mean, in my whole life, I've never seen anybody more humble than Radhanath Swami, right? It's shocking, that he is so super exalted and pure, and yet the humility is there. And the two components of humility, one, I'm very fallen, and the second component of humility is, but Krishna is so wonderful that he can use me, he can help me, he can consider help reaching out to me, even though I'm not deserving. How wonderful is Krishna. We're here to glorify the Lord.
Thank you. Prabhu. Yes, Hare Krishna. So it's just past 8 o'clock. Curtains might open any time. So we'll take darshan of Radha Murli. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Balakrishna Prabhu ki jai. What a nice class, Balakrishna Prabhu. You're such a wonderful Vaishnava. Humble, gentle, Shastrik. Answered Krishnadaya Prabhu's question nicely. Krishnadaya Prabhu, this is not a question. Everybody is better than you. And
Hari Prabhu.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Darshan time. Jeffrey Eckler, stop the car, get out of the car, and give your attention to Krishna. Okay. Even if you're in the middle of the bridge, Jeffrey Eckler, you have to stop the car. Block the traffic. Bow down. Get arrested. Yeah. For Krishna.
This is the third one I've got here. It disappears. I have to take it with me every day.
Who's faster, Rich or Jeffrey? Jeffrey's in the car. Okay. Rich Prabhu, what's your speed?
No one is slower than I am, Prabhu.
Nice. Ram looks so intelligent. Look at him. Hare Krishna. Bhima Prabhu, any afterglow reflections from you? You look like a Mahabharata character without a head. Yeah, your hair, Bhima Prabhu's hair is standing on the end.
Prabhu, I'd just like to say, what was the name of Prabhu who gave class? Bala Krishna?
Bala Krishna Das, yes.
Yes. So one of the first things he said was the brilliant reality of Krishna's world, Goloka, Gokul, and how everything was so wonderful. We get days like this. I suppose it's the same in New York, where the sun is out. Finally, we got some somewhat clear skies. The grass is green, the flowers are in full bloom, the horses are in the fields. We are somewhat reminded of what it must be like in Krishna's world. Even though I know on my agenda today is, an 1.5 inch long needle that I have to push into a horse's neck because Adi Atmik, Adi Bodhik, and Adi Daivik, a tick the size of a pinhead gave the horse Lyme disease. So we have this world that's a reflection, but we're also always reminded how temporary and how fragile this world is that we're living in, and that even on a sunny day, we can use it to remind us of, as Adi Purusha always says, I don't know the Sanskrit, but of that other reality, that brilliant reality that we're all striving for. And we seek to please Krishna by bearing it out in this world. Whether we are in the bricks of New York City or the green grass of the countryside. I'm very grateful to be invited into this class and to hear devotees speak of such a world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Very poetic reflection. Okay, so the spiritual world, the spiritual countryside is available immediately, readily available. If we want it, it's there. It's not going anywhere. And so is our class. We're not going anywhere. Come again tomorrow. We'll be happy to see you. See, Jeffrey Eckler finally stopped the car. Okay, Hare Krishna. Love you all. Hari Hari Bol. Akiko-chan looking beautiful. We see the rear of her cat looking beautiful. Dana Marie, top of her head. And yeah, she's waving. Thank you, Dana Marie. Sorry. And yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama.